Yeah, just an hour and a half of vague semi noises. Welcome to the Yaoi Shelf.
Hello.
Grab a seat and relax. It's February.
Woo.
Uh,
Yes, it is.
for us Americans, it is the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a thing.
For us nerds, it's a superb owl.
What?
So, National Geographic actually started this like forever ago, and now it's in like what we do in the shadows, so it's become mimetic again. But National Geographic, like years ago, did this thing called Superb Owl Sunday,
Oh.
and they just ran like 8 hours of owl documentaries.
Listen, that sounds a lot better.
I had a blast.
That sounds amazing, but I feel like the Super Bowl just happened. Like
No, apparently it didn't.
I don't
honestly
understand.
don't remember how often it is because, dear listener, I'm a homosexual. I don't pay attention to sport.
Listen, I was watching, surprising absolutely no one. I was watching some Thai BL the other day, and the guys were playing sport, and I know I'm a homosexual, and I know I don't know a lot about sport, but I dead ass thought they were playing basketball, and then I realized it was soccer. So
Okay, apparently the Super Bowl is every year.
yeah, I thought it was a yearly thing, but I feel like it just happened.
It is every year, huh?
But I also don't understand it because you have to understand coming from, a non-American
Yes.
perspective. First of all, your football, you don't even use your feet. Second,
No.
why is it called the Super Bowl?
You're asking
It's-
the wrong bisexual.
It's like
have
I
answers.
don't
I don't have
understand. I remember being a child and watching. I think the first time I heard about it was watching Ace Ventura, like in the 90s,
Oh, of course.
and I was like, "Why is it called a Super Bowl? It's not bowling." I was very confused. I don't understand.
We have multiple bowls though. Like there's the Cotton Bowl, the Rose Bowl, the Sugar Bowl. We have multiple bowls. Don't look at me like that.
I'm just
Don't
trying to understand.
Don't
Okay, but
you-
I guess it makes sense because I guess in this European football world,
Yes.
they talk about cups. I guess it's the same thing. Is it like the trophy?
No. The trophy
Okay.
is the Vince Lombardi trophy. I'm on Wikipedia. I don't know anything.
Dear listeners, you're
Dear
listening
listeners.
to two gay people who have
You're
no
listening
idea.
to two homosexuals talk about sports because I rather talk about sports than what we're talking about today, which is football.
Oh, come on. I know you're excited.
I am literally dressed in all black.
See, this is why I wanted to call this episode Fluff Off because
That's what Amanda's doing.
yeah, because that's what Amanda's doing. I'm excited. I, for one, am super excited to hear Amanda rant for an hour and a half about how much she hates Fluff.
But actually, I don't hate Fluff.
But
I
okay,
did learn that.
okay. That's interesting because I'm looking at the not the invoice, the what the hell is it called?
An outline?
Yes, the outline.
Yes, me sending you a demand for money.
And then I
Carola,
said-
give me your money.
Yeah, okay. I don't have any, but I guess I'll just. I found 5 British pounds in my wallet, but there's a picture of the Queen on it, so I don't know if it's even valid anymore.
It doesn't stop becoming valid because she's dead.
Really? Because don't
No.
they change the
They do, but like it doesn't like stop becoming.
like immediately? It's like
No, like our
Okay.
quarters have dead presidents on them. They're not invalid.
I don't know. Well, anyway, we have a point in the outline that specifically states why does Amanda specifically hate Fluff. So I'm very excited about this.
So okay. So this is what we're doing for February. I hope you all enjoy an hour and a half of vague semi noises and complaining.
But you won't be alone. Like I do enjoy some good Fluff, but also I have some opinions.
That's literally the tagline of this series. Is
I
I
have some opinions. I'm
Oh my
so
God.
excited. This is so
So-
good.
We're here to talk about Fluff and why Amanda specifically hates it. Carola, what is Fluff?
What? I mean, it's the opposite opposite of what we usually consume, which is angst and drama,
So take everything we love
and turn it upside
and
down.
turn it around.
No, wait, I did write some notes on this to try to be concise. So from what I gathered, looking at fan lore, fluff is a type of content that is not necessarily plot heavy.
Yes.
That has like, it's kind of like porn without plot, but without the porn. Although there is fluffy porn, I personally enjoy some fluffy porn without plot. But it has happy endings, happy storylines. It can be like general. It doesn't have to be a romantic fluff or romantic love. It can be, any kind of sweet, cute, feelsy relationships between characters, can be found family, the antidote to angst. Personally, I enjoy some good fluff. I have some conditions. We'll get to those, but I
Yes.
think that I love a good combo. I like it if there is angst. It's
We're
kind of like,
jumping the gun.
okay, I'm sorry.
It's the last part of the outline, woman.
Listen, I almost drowned in rainwater today. I forgot to send you. I'm gonna send you when we're done with this. I'm gonna send you a video of what my driveway looks like. It's so wet out here. It's like ridiculous.
See, now we get to share drowning experiences because I remember I mentioned when I almost drowned in the river, and
Yeah,
you were like, "Don't fucking do shit like that."
No, I went walking, and it's like there's so much water because all the storm drains
Mm-hmm.
are under 2 meters of snow. So when it starts raining, there's no drainage. So there are rivers everywhere, and there are holes in my winter shoes because I have to wear the spiked shoes because it's icy, but it's wet. So I had a field day.
Please get new shoes,
Yeah.
please.
They're not even that old. I don't understand what happened.
Patrons, please help Carola get
Yeah,
new shoes.
please consider joining Patreon so this poor homosexual can get some new shoes. My toes were literally slushing around in ice water. So I feel like a fluffy episode is exactly what I need after the ordeals that I went through earlier today. Also, it's figure skating season, so I'm in hell.
So that's a great definition of what fluff is. It's basically everything that is the opposite of what we love.
Yeah.
It's very plot light. So I'm a dessert person. I'm not sure if you guys can tell by the everything. I'm a dessert person.
My instant thought was, of course you are, because antique bakery. But I don't know if that was what you were going for.
It wasn't, but I'll accept it. And when people say like, "Oh, this dessert is too sweet," I've never understood that.
I understand that.
That's fair. It's like because it's a fucking dessert. Like I mean, okay, I understand like culinarily because like Mexican pastries aren't super sweet. Like there's a lot of pastries that aren't super sweet. But like when people order a dessert that is just sugar, like bread pudding, and then it's like, "Oh, this bread pudding is super sweet." Yeah, it's custard and bread.
It doesn't sound sweet, like bread pudding, really?
Yeah. Pan apple do.
What were those noises you just made?
French?
I had French for 3 years in school, and listen, I don't understand.
What were those noises you made? French? Gay French?
Oh my god, I don't understand anything.
Homosexual French? Okay, I'll have to. So, bread pudding is this thing, specifically in the South, that it's like how you use your leftover bread. And you make this custard that is basically the custard that you would use to make ice cream. So it's super, super dense and eggy. And you can add anything to it. You can use any kind of bread. And then you just combine all that shit, throw it in the oven. Judgmental Norwegian noise.
Interesting. But I mean, I'm not a dessert person. I don't really like sweets. The only, like, there's this weird thing where I will eat, what are those things called? It's a French word. I don't No, the other ones. They're like, no. They're like meringue.
The meringue?
Yes. Listen, in Norwegian, we call them pikekyss, which means girl kisses. So, and they are literal, like that is, it's literally just sugar, and I love them. For some reason, I love that, but I don't like sweets. I don't understand how my brain works.
Right, you'll eat literal egg whites and sugar, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
but
getting somewhere. Okay,
try to give
so
me a piece of cake. I'm like, no.
okay, I was getting somewhere. So
Okay.
when people say like dessert is too sweet, like that's fluff for me. Like there isn't enough substance or
Mm.
complexity in it for me to sink my teeth into it. I have now that I'm old and decrepit, I have run into a few desserts that are too sweet for me. So like I finally understand it. Like there isn't enough other stuff in here for me to be able to enjoy it.
Mm.
And that's what fluff is for me. It's they're very plot light typically. Um they're usually like remarkably platonic. Your biggest enemy is like what to wear to school the next day.
What? What fluff have you been reading?
A lot of like school fluff. But I also haven't read fluff in like a decade.
Yeah,
At least.
yeah.
It's been at least 10 years.
I've read some, but I don't know because I don't think I've ever read like, strictly fluff. Like it's usually fluff
Mhm.
mixed with other things, but like
Mhm.
of recent, like recent as in the recent few years, a couple of
Mhm.
like fluffy titles I can remember having read is like, Deco Boco Sugar Days. I still haven't read the second one, even though I own it. And like Our Dining Table and like these like super sweet stories, but
Mhm.
that also have like other aspects to them because I will bring it up because I always bring up Little Butterfly, which I for some reason remember as being incredibly fluffy until I reread it and there's so much trauma. So it's more like a hurt comfort thing where it's like it's
I feel like a lot of the yaoi that we read during that time was like that. Because same, like I always assumed that all this shit that we read back in the day was just nothing but fluff and that's why I hated it. And then I go back and it's like 90% trauma just with really, really soft looking characters.
yeah.
Um, but fluff gets a bit of a bad rep. It's either you're like us, or at least like me, where you vehemently hate it, you'll recoil and hiss at it, or you love it so much that you will defend it like you're going into war.
That is yes.
Like there's no
It's like
nuanced
imagine
conversation.
you love the sweet and fluffy and innocent so much that you're willing to commit murder. Oh, that sounds like the Purity Police.
I was waiting for you to say that. I
Ah,
knew it was coming.
kimoy. No, but no. But I like, sometimes I like fluff. I like when, can you hear the motorbike outside?
No.
Okay, good. Because I feel like I'm yelling. Uh, there's a lot of noise outside. No, but I think that for a lot of the things that I want to say we consume,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of this stuff, whether it's, like canon,
Mm-hmm.
are so traumatic and so dark and so painful that
Mm-hmm.
at least back in my day, in my fanfic days, when I actually did read fic, I would seek out fluffy fanfiction to sort of heal myself because canon
Same.
was so painful. So it's like, at
So
least you can see them be happy in this.
yeah. So
Give
for
me a
me,
coffee shop, AU.
So for me, it was kind of similar that I
Yeah.
would use, but like for me, like with fanfic, because like for me, I could handle like traumatizing canon, I guess, because I have trauma. So like traumatizing canon sucked, but I was usually hurting myself with fanfic. That's what I was doing from
Well,
from
it's either or.
right
It's like,
from get go.
because isn't it like if if it's I'm gonna bring in Naruto because obviously I will it's horrible. He's just trying to find his boyfriend. Maybe I just want to go on the internet and read some fluff where they're just like having a movie night or something. But contrarily, I will watch something that is incredibly sweet and I'll be like, yeah, I need this bitches to suffer. I'm Like, what's wrong?
Me as a writer, I remember.
I know, right?
I wrapped up my big gravitation series while I was dating one of my last partners, and like she was my biggest cheerleader for whatever reason. Like she was like the only person that I shared this like indulgent gravitation project that I started when I was in high school. She was the only other person that got to read it. So like every time I updated, it was like she was just sitting there waiting. It's like, is there an update? Is there an update?
Mm-hmm.
And I would say like we would have conversations about it. And like she ended up influencing a lot of the work, and we would have conversations. It's like this character's had it too good for too long. Time to fuck him up.
Yeah. They're too happy.
It's like things have been too good for too long.
Yeah, or like when I mean, not it's not the same, but it reminds me of when my illustrator, she's working on the headshots for some of the boys, and so one of them, he seems kind of grouchy in the book, but he's actually a real sweetheart. And then she draws him, and I'm like, yeah, he's super pretty, but could you maybe make him look a little happier, because he's already so bitchy in canon. Like, I want him to be happy. And she's like, no, I already drew too many smiley boys for you. You need some sour. What's like?
You need a sad boy to attract people like me. Because if I see a bunch of smiling men on a cover, I'm not fucking reading it. I'm a big old man. If I see a bunch of smiling twinks on a cover, I'm not interested.
So clearly, we are very qualified to talk about this topic.
We are so qualified to talk about Fluff.
Yes.
Where did Fluff get its beginnings?
Do you know this? Because I don't know.
So I do know this.
Oh, okay.
Technically, it began, like all things with BL, with Sojo. Because Sojo is a lot of fluff, but we didn't start calling it Fluff until Fanworks in the 2000s.
Do you remember, just as a side note to that, do you remember the other form of fluff? Like, because I remember distinctly the WAFF, Warm and Fluffy Feelings acronym. Yeah, because there would be like Fluff, Wuff, and then like a bunch of other tags.
Yes.
Yeah, those were the days.
I'm
just... and we didn't know what we were doing, but
we really didn't. We had no idea.
And so many things tagged as fluff that was like, yeah,
not fluff at all.
One fluffy scene at the end of 10,000 words of drama.
Right, like the character literally like murders his boyfriend. There's like a forehead kiss at the end, and then you tag it fluff. That's what we did. Like you've literally bashed your lover's skull in. But then, like, you kissed his bloody cheek, and now it's Fluff.
There's a flashback in there to happier days before your entire family was murdered and before you went crazy. And there's, like, a small spot of sunshine somewhere in the background. Fluff. That one over there. Yeah.
I feel like that was all of, like, early Naruto.
Yeah.
It was like, here's all this trauma, but then, like, one guy makes, like, a fart joke, and suddenly that lightens up the entire episode.
Things were bleak.
The entire episode is better now because there was a joke. There was a singular joke. Singular.
The thing about Naruto is that he is the actual sun, and yet it's so dark. I will never be whole again.
But like, because no one had a conversation. Naruto is one of those series for me that falls apart because, like, no one had a conversation. No one talked. Because he's the Hokage's kid. Stuff had to happen. Don't be a dick to him. Don't be mean to him. Like, at any point in time, someone could have just raised their hand and been like, hey, so some fuckery went down a few years ago.
Yeah, but I mean, it's really strange if you want to look at it that way. Yes. I mean, everyone loved Yondaime, and then he saves the village, and then it's like, yeah, let's hate his kid, and then not tell his kid that it's his kid. And
like, the kid that looks exactly like him.
I really don't know how that went down. I will not blame Sasuke and Naruto for not communicating, because Naruto tried, okay? He tried his best.
I did not bring Sasuke up.
No, but I'm talking about this in the romantic aspect. That,
Ah,
in their relationship, there could have been more communication. But one of the parts really did try to communicate, and the other one was running away. Because, some people are just bad with words.
are you comparing Sasuke to Yuki Eri?
Yes. I mean, to an extent. To an
Tired,
extent.
exhausted semi noise.
Neither of them know how to communicate. Just a floating tail. If you're a listener only, you're missing out on so much by not watching video, where my cat is like constantly attending.
He's great. He's great. Yeah. So Fluff gets its start, like all things in BL, with Sojo, and a lot of Sojo is Fluff. It's very plot light. It's or it's like what we discussed, which is there's a bunch of trauma, and then one thing happens. Yes.
Yeah, no, it was just because that's what I was thinking. Because obviously, it makes sense. Yeah, it comes from the shoujo. But then I'm like, because I thought about it earlier when you talked about how everyone looks like they look super sweet, and then it's all trauma, right? Which is, in the last episode, I was talking about the vintage titles. I was talking about, like Moto Hagio and Takemiya Keiko, and everyone is like super, super fluffy, like they're these super cute schoolboys, and then it's all murder and suicide and trauma and dead parents. And so, and when I think of shoujo, there is fluffy shoujo, yes. Yes, and I know I've read some. I know it exists, but I can only think of, horrible miscommunications and rape culture. But of course you're right. It's just, I'm just like, where's the fluff in shoujo?
Yeah.
But you have things like Kimi ni Todoke. Like, that's super fluffy, right?
Right. Or like Peach Girl.
No! No, we're not going to talk about Peach Girl. There's nothing fluffy about Peach Girl. There's not a single character. We could do an entire fucking podcast about how much I hate Peach Girl. A series of 12 episodes. Actually, let's do 26 episodes so I can break down the series
like frame by frame. Oh my god.
I hate it. I'm sorry to our listeners for the screaming. No, it's the worst. It is literally the worst.
No, it's great.
What is wrong with you?
A lot. But you do start seeing fluff used as a term, of course, in 2000s fanfic culture and fan work culture, oftentimes as a way to sort of fix it. Because, you think about the series that we're working with back in those days. They're nothing but angsty shonens.
Yeah.
So a great way to fix that, or to give us a more satisfying conclusion, was to, exactly as Carola said, not necessarily like with coffee shop AUs, that's a little bit more modern, but like to just have a fic where nothing fucking happens.
Yeah.
It's just sweet nothings.
I distinctly remember writing like, kindergarten age Naruto and Sasuke being babysat by Itachi, and they were making like macaroni pictures, like because I just needed to heal my heart.
Right. And it was this form, it really was this form of like almost like applying an antidote after you've poisoned yourself.
Yeah.
So for me,
heavy on the poisoned yourself.
Yeah, you have poisoned yourself. Because like, again, for me, I'm reading like this horrible, rape fic. And then after I'm like, depressed, I'm 14 years old and I'm depressed because I've been reading nothing but non-con.
And dead doves. Your diet is non-con and dead doves.
That is my diet. That has been my diet for like 15 years, is just dead doves. But after a while, that starts to wear on you a little bit. You need a living dove sometimes. And you would find these like fluffy, nothing fucking happened. It's like 5,000 words, but there's zero plot. Of just like Romeo and Juliet level sweet nothings to each other.
Yeah.
They're just laying in bed talking for like 5,000 words.
Yeah. Making each other breakfast,
Right, making each other breakfast. Just
And you love it, clearly. It's just I feel myself melting a little bit, and you're like, ugh, recoils. I can see you. I can see you casting longing glances towards that delicious dead dove.
Yeah, the dead dove is very. Yeah, the dead dove on the plate is very appetizing. This dead dove is wonderful. um, so what makes Fluff so fun to read for some people?
For some people, specifically, not you. Uh,
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, no, I just think, because it's healing, it's relaxing. I guess some people project, I will never, I say this as a person who's pretty much been in a relationship since I was like 12.
Hmm.
So I've never understood the whole, oh, I want a boyfriend, I want a girlfriend, like that kind of thing that you're like actively pursuing romance.
Hmm.
I don't get that. I just fall into relationships. I don't know. But sometimes, so I guess for some people it's that romantic aspect that, you're just a romantic. For me, it's more like I just want the characters to be happy. And I think for me, Fluff a lot of the time is more about how it makes me feel. Like
Hmm.
it will be like if it makes me feel giddy and lightheaded and
Hmm.
grinning like an idiot while watching it
Hmm.
or reading it, like it just makes me happy. Like sometimes things there can be nice things, I think it's relaxing, it's sweet. You
No,
want to see
absolutely.
the characters show appreciation and love and concern for each other.
Right. And, you know, I can understand that. You know, I there's still not a lot of Fluff that I love, but I can completely understand that desire to just want everything to be okay for a few minutes.
Mm.
I It doesn't do much for me because I am a trauma riddled sack of nonsense. So it doesn't really do a lot for me on surface level, but there was once a time when I still had a soul, I guess, that it was nice to just read something where everything was fine.
Yeah.
Here are these two characters that I like a lot, who have been through a lot, and everything is just okay. And it is healing, it is soothing, it is, this projection that things can be okay and that they should be okay. It's also, again, to bring it back to fix it, it's a great way that if you see something in a series that you don't like, to sort of remedy it. I'll jump the gun a smidgen, but it's to get to this point. When we talk about Fluff, I tend to find where I like it is with characters that are objectively terrible or something awful happened to them. So,
Mm.
like Matt and Mello, characters that we talk about every episode.
Yes, for good reason.
For good reason.
If we
Um,
haven't made you, converted you to the Church of Mount Mellow yet, I don't know what we're doing wrong.
yeah, I don't know what we've done wrong either. You all should love that mafioso and his hacker boyfriend.
Yes.
But objectively, something horrible happens to both of them.
I don't like talking about that.
Right. And like something that is so pleasing
Mm.
about completely ignoring canon and writing them being just fine.
Yeah,
I did that for 40 chapters on AO3.
exactly.
Like, there's something that is so pleasing about taking these two characters who are obviously married
I mean, yes.
and are just completely shafted, not in the sexy way, by the series, both of them.
Yeah, and then some Survey comes along friggin' 20 years later and like adds salt to the wound. Like, excuse me? Okay.
Our Patreon episode is just going to be us talking about that poll.
Yes. Yes. I can't.
Whatever I have planned for Patreon this month, it's just us reacting to that poll.
But it's just objectively terrible.
It is. But I've done that. I've done that with characters. No, the bunch of characters where it's like,
Hmm.
here, for however many words, things are fine.
Yeah.
And I love that in response to things going radically not fine in canon. I really respect that. The internet has been talking a lot about fan works and author intentionality because J.K. Rowling has risen out of her cold dead grave with the Hogwarts Legacy game, and everyone is talking about whether it's ethical or unethical to play the game.
I the no. I saw someone refer to it as hog leg yesterday, and that's all I'm going to call it from now on.
I support this.
Yeah. I just, yeah. God,
But
you should just fluff off, Joanne. Yeah, okay. You were saying about, yes.
you know, and that was so for a lot of people, myself included, when Harry Potter was still really, really relevant, because a lot of the criticisms that people have about Hogwarts Legacy have existed in Harry Potter since forever. It has always been anti-Semitic. It has always been tokenistic. It has always been racist. The one black character is named Kingsley Shackelford.
I don't understand what you mean. How could that be racist?
Right. Like, it's always been those things. So one of the great things that Harry Potter did as a fandom was correct a lot of these wrongs. And Fluff was a huge part of that, especially with pairings like Drarry, which is Draco and Harry Potter. Because Drarry ruled the world for many years.
I've never been like in Harry Potter fandom, but I do have a soft spot for Drarry. I do. But on a fun note, like I was thinking about this the other day because I listened to video essays while working out, and I fell into a hole of listening to like video essays about ye old fandom wank. And it's funny because you and we talk so much about, the good old days. We didn't threaten each other, and we didn't dox each other, and it was just fandom wank. And then I started listening to these stories about what went down in the Harry Potter fandom, and I was like, the miscribe thing, and that one young adult author.
So Harry Potter fandom has always
that was wild.
Harry Potter has always been hashtag the most.
I wasn't there, and I didn't realize how bad it was.
It was
so that was fun. I'm learning. I am currently on an educational course of Harry Potter fandom, and I'm terrified of these people.
I can't wait for you to read My Immortal.
No, you know what? No.
Next Patreon episode.
Is it really long?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's complete.
Oh my god. Why?
Because it's a part of fandom history. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
But I like Fluff as an antidote to pain. I think where Fluff loses me is when it is this plot light. These characters have never experienced a bad thing in their lives. The biggest struggle that they have is school uniforms and, what sandwich to eat at lunch. The greatest obstacle they have to overcome is holding hands in the daylight.
No, but I'm with you on that last one because this is where I have opinions, because I don't mind it if it's plot light. Like sometimes I just want characters to, sit around and eat ice cream and be cute, but there's that line for me, like you can be cute. Wait, what was it that I wrote in my note? Like you can be cute and like and sweet and fluffy, but I prefer to have some deliberation and confidence. And I think that this is such a big deal because so much of these fluffy BL things are so overly innocent that it ends up pissing me off instead. And I'm going to use an example because I am in Thai BL hell and I have opinions, and I feel like this is going to get me lynched because in order to watch what is now one of my favorite shows, Between Us, I had to watch Until We Meet Again. And I know that everyone loves Until We Meet Again. I struggled. First of all, you need a friggin' PhD in neuroscience to understand this show because it's so convoluted. But also, the main couple, like, yeah, they're sweet, and Parm is super sweet, but he's too sweet, and he pisses me the fuck off. Like, sometimes he's really sweet, and like, when he's with his friends, he's super sweet. He's a great friend. When he's with his boyfriend, I'm like, oh my god! Like, even when, because you've been with him for months. You've had sex, and then he pecks you on the cheek, and you're like, "No, don't do that. People might." I'm like, I can't. You're not some damsel in distress who's been living in a tower for 70 years and never had any human contact. That's not cute. That annoys me. I'm sorry to everyone who loves Parman Dean. He pisses me off whenever he goes, Dean. I just want to scream. Okay, I'm done.
I don't think you are. I don't think you are. But exactly, like, that's where it starts to lose
Yeah.
a lot of people. And again, to go back to that divide, we're not the only ones that feel this way. There is this strong divide between people who say that they hate Fluff and say that they love Fluff. And for whatever reason, this has become the battleground that especially older fans have decided to entrench themselves in. I guess it's a lot of internalized misogyny.
Yeah. As with a lot of other.
As with everything.
things.
As with everything, it's a lot of internalized misogyny.
Time.
Because there is something that is, there is this weird desire to have everything be all right, especially when your life isn't all right.
Yeah.
But patriarchal society especially loves to glorify struggle. There's a great Lindsay Ellis video on the fascism in Star Wars, and she talks about like actual fascism, and she says the fascist has to glorify struggle because otherwise you realize that there's nothing, like their promises are empty. Like, you have to glorify the struggle of existence, because if you peek behind the curtain any bit, you see there's nothing there. So a lot of patriarchal societies tend to glorify and love the struggle. There's a reason why for so many women in media, their phoenix moment, I'm using air quotes, is sexual assault.
Yeah.
It's this glorification that, when bad things happen, it's okay. The famous, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Love that. Yeah.
Yeah. What doesn't kill you gives you horrible coping skills.
And trauma for years and a whole lot of baggage.
Right. But
it's okay because you didn't die. So
I did not die. But with that is when things are okay, when everything is fine, when everyone is happy, that it's almost like intrinsically feminine, and thus it's bad.
Yeah.
And that I find to be bullshit, of course, because the patriarchy can go fuck itself.
Yep.
But
well put.
Thank you. I appreciate it. New sticker coming to the shop. The patriarchy can go fuck itself.
I love it.
Very
eloquent.
Yes. But that's one of the reasons that you have this internal and external struggle between those who read Fluff and those who don't. It kind of reminds me of like analog girls, like not like other girls. Basically who I was in high school.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I don't wear makeup. I'm one of the guys. I like video games and comic books. I'm above the drama. And it's like, literally is the drama.
Yeah.
Is literally the drama. And again, that's all internalized misogyny and patriarchal bullshit. So that's where we tend to have that divide when it comes to Fluff. And it is unfortunate. For all of our bitching and moaning, there is a place for Fluff. And we wouldn't have some of the best series in BL without Fluff existing. Or at least some of the best moments in BL.
Yeah.
The ones where everything is light and everything is chill. And we wouldn't have BL fan work the way that we do if we didn't have this root of needing to fix it. because so much BL fan work is trying to fix
Or just straight up denial. I am very good at this.
straight up denial.
Like, excuse me, what do you mean this person actually died in canon? He's fine and he's with his boyfriend and they are fluffy, and I will take no further questions at this.
My favorite part about having to write my really, really long Matt and Mellow fic was having to put canon divergence.
Mm. I mean, there's a reason I prefer AUs. Like, because I just want to. I want a holiday, okay? I just. It doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt. Like, again, I like angst. I like suffering. Right. But sometimes I need to medicate myself after having all the suffering. Because sometimes it's a bit much. Maybe I just want them to be happy for 5 fucking minutes.
Right!
You know?
And, I love fix-it culture, especially because, I wrote this giant manifesto as to why I write when I was in college, because I had one of those writing teachers who was trying to figure out why we write, and then she didn't expect to get a Fujin with a god complex and CPTSD. And I kicked down the door.
You kicked down the house. That's what you do.
Like, I've been waiting for this moment my entire life.
How did it go?
It went great. I think I still have it.
Good.
I'll have to dig it up.
Yeah.
But one of
share it with the patrons. Just
okay. One of the first things I wrote was I write for revenge. Which is still true to this day. I write for revenge.
And revenge can be fluffy.
Sure. When I say that, I'm usually writing to fix the wrongs of the series. Again, to unfortunately bring back Harry Potter fan works, one of the things that got me writing Harry Potter fan works was the bad representation in canon of the house that I'm in.
Yeah.
Because not all Slytherins are just fascists, just some of them.
Yeah. But I listened to a really good video essay on this, and I cannot for the life of me remember who did it, but it was about, how, are all Slytherins bad? And it's like, what do you expect when you take a bunch of 11-year-olds and it's just, yeah, you're going into this house, which has a horrible reputation. Your bedrooms are in the dungeons. And it's like, it's this whole nature versus nurture thing, like, okay, maybe some of their parents are straight up Nazis and white supremacists, essentially, but some of these kids aren't. And you just put them in a dungeon with a bunch of right-wingers.
Right, like
what do you expect?
Like, of course they have problems. Like, you made it bad. Like, you did this. But yeah, I would love to do a whole episode on Fix It, just because that's so important to like the history of fan works, because it's one as old as the hills. We've been doing it forever. Some people like to make it sound like Fix It is very recent. It's not. We have been trying to fix it forever.
I think, but I feel like that is literally some of the oldest fan works. Because isn't it like, because at least Western fan work, and to a certain extent, doujin work in Japan, all stems from Star Trek, right? And even there, I think I heard that there was a lot of, because I know nothing about Star Trek, but that there was a lot of fix-it culture among the fan works, because it was like, this was handled horribly, let's fix it.
Yes,
it's literally at the root of fandom, wanting to fix horrible takes and unfortunate things that happen to the characters.
Right. And not even just, this is a horrible thing that happened. It's, hey, what about that thing that you saw for 5 seconds in the background? Hey, that looks really interesting over there. What's happening over there?
I want to see, exactly.
I want to see that.
I know that thing in the background over there that you can see for a split second. I need that
thing. I need to see that. What's happening with that?
Literally me.
Literally most of fandom culture is.
I mean, this is how we get a lot of these these random pairings that are like,
Yes.
yes, because I saw this one character in the background in that one episode,
Yeah.
and
He
now
didn't say anything, but now
he doesn't have a name. But listen,
he's my whole personality now.
and he's in a relationship with this guy, and I know that they're doing great.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's fantastic.
I'm putting the fix it into our future.
Oh, thank you.
Sub.
I appreciate you. So with all of that lauding of Fluff, why does Amanda specifically hate it?
Yes, why do you specifically hate it? Tell me.
You know what? And I've used this anecdote before. I had the misogynist turn against female characters around the age of 13 or 14.
As one does.
Yeah, as one does.
Yeah.
With Kagome from Inuyasha.
Of course.
Because she just had no problems. Her biggest problem was falling down a well and finding a furry.
She falls down a well?
Yeah. That's the whole point of the series.
I know nothing about
She
Inuyasha.
falls down a well into
That's a fucking
Japan.
horror story. What if Sadako was down there?
No, she falls down a well into feudal Japan, and then she climbs out of the well and she sees Inuyasha pinned to a tree with a magical arrow shot by his former priestess ex-girlfriend, who was possessed by a demon named Naraku, who was the hottest and best character of the show.
Okay. Clearly, I don't know anything. Okay, I've never watched it. It's too late for me.
It's too late. We're not going back.
I can't.
But every episode of Inuyasha started with this like opening where it's like, my name's Kagome, I'm a normal high school girl, and then everything got turned around. And I was just seething. Just boiling. Because by the age of 14, I had lost my dad. I had emancipated from my mother because she was crazy. I was bullied in school because I was an asshole. Like, one thing I love about nerds is like, oh my god, I was so tormented in school. Yeah, you were a dick. All you could do was talk about anime. Of course you were bullied. Like, I was bullied in school because I was terrible. And I couldn't relate to her. And that started me on like a 10 plus year run of hating female characters because they weren't anxiety riddled trauma sacks like I was. And I could very easily associate to the male characters who are usually sociopaths with trauma.
Yeah.
But again, that's a lot of internalized misogyny, blah blah blah, patriarchy bad.
But it's such a valid, you essentially already said all of that, but I think it plays such a big part because everything you said earlier, like it's like it's not valid, it's not considered good entertainment or like highbrow culture, whatever, if it's not full of trauma, if like someone doesn't suffer, if a woman doesn't get sexually assaulted, if a queer character doesn't get assaulted, or like we can't have innocence because then it's just waffle, then it's just pointless, then who's gonna want to watch it, right?
Exactly.
But that's no, that's not how it works. I mean, you're allowed to dislike Fluff, like obviously.
Yeah, I mean,
but you're missing it entirely, kind of, like.
Right. And I still think that there are some oftentimes valid criticisms about Fluff.
Oh, absolutely.
I think one thing for me, especially like with a lot of more modern series, is like an inability to talk about what actual issues are being faced by queer people, especially in Japan. Now, yes, I understand that not everything needs to be a political commentary, but like not glimpsing the issue at all for me just feels like a cop-out. It just does.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is also, sometimes things get so fluffy that it's unrealistic. Like, and for me, that ties into what we talked about when we talk about, the lack of communication, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's always like, oh, I'm so innocent, and whether this is shoujo or BL, like, oh, he's my boyfriend. I can't have a conflict with him. I can't confront him with
Mhm.
whatever opinions or feelings or whatever I'm having. So I will just be quiet and be cute and hope that he notices. And it's like, it's the whole, because that's not how the world works.
No, it's not.
And
And
that really irritates me. And
yeah.
that's not so much the fluff. It is the writing. It is the
Mhm.
it is the stereotype of that type of character or that type of character dynamic that ends
Mhm.
up pissing me off, and that ruins a lot of fluff for me. Like, that's why I say I want it to be deliberate. I want it to be confident, because if the characters are comfortable with each other, like
Mhm.
comfortable just laying in bed, sharing their emotions, sharing their thoughts, that fills me with so much joy,
Mhm.
versus I'm just cute and I don't want to talk to you about my problems because I don't want you to think I'm too much. I don't want to ruin the moment. It's like, you are ruining it for me right now.
It's like the moment has done been ruined.
Right.
You've already fucked up. Leave me
Yeah,
alone.
exactly. And I was thinking about this yesterday because I did trick my poor girlfriend who was sick yesterday into watching I Will Knock You with me, which is one of my favorite, like, current favorite series, and I've
Mhm.
already finished watching it. It ended a week ago, and I've been suffering for a week because I missed them so much. But it's the exact opposite of what I mentioned with Until We Meet Again, because Noi
Mhm.
is this extremely narcissistic, overconfident wannabe gangster, and he's so
Right.
cute and he's so honest. Like, the entire series is just super comforting and fluffy because it's
Mhm.
so cute, because Noi is so stupid, and he's just really going for it. He's like, I have decided that you love me and I'm
Mhm.
going to pursue you. And it's the fluffiest thing. But because he's so honest and open, and, like, also because he's a wannabe thug, which, is my number one favorite thing on the planet, it has this, it gives me so much joy and so much comfort just watching it, because
Right.
it's so honest, and it's so, it's not like layers upon layers upon layers of artificial sweetener. It
Yes.
it feels real. It feels, even though it's silly and like
Mhm.
weird as hell, but in comparison to the super sweet.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's the big thing for me oftentimes is when I'm reading a lot of like pure fluff, it does feel very unearned. It
Mm.
does feel again like it's too plot light. There's not enough going on. Now, does everything need to be twittering birds never fly? No, of course not.
I'm
But
sure there's a scale that you can. It's like,
there's a scale. There's a scale.
it's
You
just that
know,
you like to be all the way over on the far end of that scale, where
I
where
like
no
to be
one.
with canon works. I tend to like to be further towards the twittering bird side, as if
Mm.
that's the most traumatizing thing I've ever read. It's not.
Now, I mean, in comparison to some of the things you've read, I mean, you want to talk about our Lord and Savior Nakamura Asumiko a little,
You want to talk about that one BL that I read where a guy cuts off his boyfriend's arm so he resembles the Venus de Milo statue and like fetishizes his armless body?
See, this is what we mean when we say that fluff is the literal opposite of what the two of us normally consume. Like, I literally had to go through it. Like, when I was waiting for you, when your computer was updating, I was like, maybe I should go through some of my manga recs on Insta to see if I've actually read any fluff in the recent past, because I can't. I know that I enjoy it. I just can't really remember any particular ones, because, again, I like fluff, but I like it to be balanced out. So I want,
Right.
like, a fluffy moment after there's been something horrible, like, yeah, we went through this awful thing and someone died, or we just spent 2 fucking days laying out our traumatic backstories to each other,
Right.
and now we're cuddling in bed. Like, that's the fluff I want. I want.
Right. So a lot of people with trauma will say the same thing about fluff, that it's hard to relate to, that, you know, because they've experienced something like this, it feels too unrealistic. I know I definitely had that problem. I've been in my fair share of abusive relationships. In coming out of abusive relationships, it does feel almost like wrong to just read everything being okay. Because that hadn't been my experience.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you mean you don't have to trade sex for affection? What do you mean?
Fake.
Right, like, what do you mean you can just tell your partner that you love them? I was never allowed to say that to my partner. He'd get really, really mad at me. You know, I date horrible men. I have bad taste in men.
Yeah, and it's not even in 2D men. Like, you're
It's
just
real
all
men.
over the
Like, just
board.
everywhere. I think some of the 2D men would treat me better because at least they're gay and don't want anything to do with me.
And you know, since they are fictional 2D men, there is a slight percentage of chance that you could fix them.
Yeah, I could fix them.
Yeah,
At least they're homosexuals and want nothing to do with me.
yeah, exactly. They'll
just
helps.
leave me alone. Just like, ugh, woman, and keep being horrible somewhere else.
Oh my god!
But
yes,
it was hard to relate to that. It was hard to relate to Kagome. It was hard to relate to things being okay and having those dumb meet cute moments where, oh, our hands brushed during the fireworks festival and now we're speaking each other's first names without being married. And I just save it for marriage, you whore.
Oh my god. Just spoke each other's names and you haven't even, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you used his first name and you're not married? Keep it in your pants, you hussy.
Wow. You really did wake up today and choose violence. You're just like, you woke up and chose slut shaming.
I did. I
mean, listen, if someone wants to hold hands with their boyfriend in public, they are allowed to do that without you popping out of a bush and calling them.
No, that's literally me in every anime. Just pop out. Stop it! That's me in every show.
Oh my god!
I'll just pop out of a bush. Cut it out! Man! Just here to cock block and ruin things. But what about Fluff and some other stuff?
Exactly. Which is what I'm saying. Yes. Yes. I want my Fluff served as a side dish.
Yes.
Like the main course is angst and pain and smut, and then with a side of Fluff. Thank you.
The main course is characters who have been horribly mistreated. But for like 5 minutes, everything is okay.
Yes, Ash and Eiji. And then
canon divergence. Because that sure is not what happened.
No, they're fine. He took that fucking plane ticket and they got married and everything is wonderful.
You know, it's been a while since I've read Banana Fish. But
oh, God.
I don't think that's what happened.
Leave me alone. No, but you know, because there's that one moment, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. Banana Fish is a perfect example, because of course it is, but because Eiji, as we have established, is an actual cinnamon roll. And there's that one scene where they're sitting in the kitchen and they're teaching each other languages, and it's super cute, and you're just like, oh, this warms my heart. They're so cute. And then someone starts shooting. I'm like, I was enjoying that. Can they be happy for 5 fucking minutes? No. And that's what I mean. Fluff as a side dish to all the...
Right, absolutely. I think for me, the big thing about Fluff is that it needs to be earned. Like I said, when it's a relationship that is just too effortless, and again, I'm not saying that characters can't be happy. That's not what I'm saying. I am not that heartless. Like, yeah, there are some uncomplicated relationships where everything is fine and the biggest disagreement that you have is over dinner. Like, that does exist. But it doesn't exist for everyone all the time.
No. Like,
there has to be some kind of conflict there. And that conflict doesn't have to be earth-shattering. It doesn't have to be the end of the world.
No.
But, like, you will inevitably argue with your partner.
Yeah,
it might be over something small, but it will happen.
And that's what, that's the usual thing. Like, we've been together for 8 years and you didn't do the dishes again, and it's grating on my nerves. And now
Right.
there's a disturbance in the force, like that kind of thing. It doesn't have to be,
Right.
it doesn't have to be, you didn't trust me and put a gun to my head yesterday again. Because
everyone in BL has a gun.
listen, it happens a lot. It's actually amazing. Or maybe it's just because, again, of the things that you and I are reading, but the number of times that I've seen this is actually disturbing. Japan, very little gun violence. Every BL ever.
That's why I was so shocked in Sarazanmai. Like,
Yeah.
what? Like, excuse me?
But there was a lot about Sarazanmai that was just like...
I mean, yeah, there was a lot, but like that especially for me was like, excuse me.
Yeah.
And also that like it had consequences. Because typically, yeah, like in BL, it's just like glossed over and it's like, oh yeah, my seme sleeps with a gun under his pillow. He's threatened me with it 13 times.
Yeah.
But it doesn't
Today.
matter. Like,
Just today before breakfast.
He's never used it, so it's okay. But like...
I mean, it's true. It's true.
But oh, Rayo just shot that kid and he's dead. Like, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. And see, Sarazanmai is such a, is another example, because you can't tell me that you don't want like 5 minutes of happiness for Toi or for Reo and Mabu while watching that. Like, maybe, I mean, just let him eat the cookies or whatever that his husband made without having a fucking hole open in his heart. Like, can they just be
Rayo and
happy?
Mabu deserve happiness and not some kind of horrible otter golem.
I can't. I will never recover. I will never recover.
It was utterly devastating.
Stop it! It's not funny at all. It's horrible. I was enjoying that so much, and it just kept getting gayer. And then one day, it was just like
murder.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Excuse me. I was trying to enjoy that, and now I'm in pain. Explain yourself. This isn't Devilman Crybaby.
Okay, I would love a Fluff fix it for Devilman Crybaby.
But yes. But also, I feel like maybe this is like a symbol of how damaged I've become, because that scene at the end of Devilman Crybaby,
yes,
when the entire world has fucking ended and they're just like laying on the grass.
Yes.
That feels a little fluffy to me. Like, because at the beginning, before you see the full picture, it's kind of like, oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, well, I think that's why it ended up being
them.
so devastating.
Yeah.
Because for a minute, it's like, oh, I mean, that's a horrible way to get what you want, but you got it.
Yeah, that's nice. Like, and then it's like,
and out like, oh no.
Oh.
Yeah,
that's
bad.
That's not what I thought that was.
That's not what I thought was going on. So, I go over like the fanfic that I've read. And while a lot of it is sketchy old men doing sketchy old men things.
Are you being assaulted by all old men kisses again?
It's not assault if I want it.
Stop slut shaming yourself.
There's no shame here.
Okay.
I don't have shame for wanting to see sketchy old men kiss other sketchy, slightly younger men.
No.
But I look at the fanfic that I read, and there is a lot of fluff. It's weird. In a lot of ways, I trust fanfic writers more sometimes than mangaka, and I guess that might be my own fanfic origins. Because most of the time, fanfic has done a better job of balancing that fluff. Or, again, as we mentioned, they're doing it for characters that absolutely deserve it.
Yeah.
Who are just horribly maligned by the series, or are just awful. Are just garbage men.
Yes.
So it's okay when they just have a morning having breakfast together, because it's so out of character that it's just charming.
Yeah, but it's like that. I think it's a Tumblr post that is like, villains, even though I think maybe we talked about this before, but that villains, are still people. And like you can
Yes.
be a horrible supervillain who wants to destroy the earth, but still be head over heels with your partner. Like those
Yes.
things can coexist. Like Dobby can go home at the end of the day and be with his trash husband, and
Which
tell
one?
him
Overhaul or Hawks?
Hawks and
Okay.
tell him he's pretty.
Yeah.
Um in
So you know
theory.
that meme of like fangirls reading hardcore smut and it's like totally dead face. It's like
Yeah.
fangirls reading Fluff and it's just like blushing wildly. That was me for a second because the amount of fanfic that has Dobby calling Hawks his pretty bird.
Hmm. Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, exactly. But it's like,
It feels a little demeaning because like when we say that to a bird, it's like not nice. Like we're talking to a caged
yeah,
animal.
like pretty bird.
Pretty
Yeah.
bird. Like we're making fun of them. So, like it
As
does
they're looking into their vanity mirror, like.
right, like as they're looking into their mirror, they don't understand. They just think it's another bird. They're alone. They're in a cage that's too small. They're surrounded by toys that don't satisfy them anymore.
Why do you have to make me sad?
Like, so like for the first few times I read it, because it's just like a through line anytime there's Dobby Hawks,
Mm.
Dobby is calling Hawks his pretty bird. Like for the first time, it was like, oh, that's really cute. And then, like the longer I started thinking about it, it's like, are you being a dick? Like, stop it!
Yeah,
Like,
but yeah.
spray bottles, like stop it!
Who's
He's
the bird now? No.
He's a literal flying man. Like he has so many issues. Leave him alone.
Yeah. No, but I know what you mean. It's like, but again, it's that I think it's that that familiarity again as well, because they're comfortable. I don't know what kind of things you're reading with Dobby Hawks, but in my head, thinking about things like this, like they're comfortable with each other. They're coming from a place of trust of
I love that like moment of fear of like I don't know what you read.
I mean, sometimes you tell me things and I'm just over here like, okay.
Like the genuine concern of I don't know what you do.
I mean, there's a reason I sent you that thing I bought you as a present, that charm or whatever.
It's amazing. They're
Yeah.
terrible for each other. But like there is something that is so nice about these objectively horrible men just having a chill time.
Yeah.
I especially also really like Hurt Comfort.
Yeah.
I like it when something bad happens and then they have to do the work of fixing it, of working through whatever slight was in the relationship or outside of the relationship. That is a great way to show that a bond is earned, is having to do the work of talking your partner down. I think that's a great way to ingratiate some fluff that is to come later. So when they are just laying in bed reassuring each other, that came after like 3 mental breakdowns and something awful that happened.
Yeah.
I really like that. I really like. So what I've come to find, because a lot of the fic I read ends up being fluffier than you'd expect, or much worse than you'd expect. That in a lot of the ones that are on the fluffier light side, it's always fluff and. It's never just fluff. It's usually like a hurt comfort. It's occasionally a sick fic. I'm hot and cold on sick fics. But like it's cute.
Yeah.
It's cute.
But, and we do. I know that all I do is talk about live action because that is my only life at the moment. But listen, episode 6 and 8 of Kin Porsche, okay, are the fluffiest, cutest friggin' like these are mafia. Like there's people are dying, people are backstabbing their own family. Like this series is so gritty and so dark, and then in between it's like, oh, let's go on a date. And they're like the cutest fucking couple on the planet. And I'm like, I need this because someone just got shot in the past episode and I'm feeling stressed. And now Portia's being And now Portia's being a controlling Instagram boyfriend because Kin ate from the food before he could take a picture of it. And I'm like, this is what I need. My heart is filled with joy. Thank you very much. There's a reason I watch this episode every night before I go to bed.
And like there are some fics that I read like almost every night before I go to bed, like as a part of like my wind down routine.
Yeah.
And like they're usually the fluffier ones because it's like that's my bedtime story is
Yeah.
here are these two awful men just having a chill night.
Yeah, and I also like it when there is like because we do both of us consume a lot of content with again horrible men or like the mafia, okay? I love mafias and delinquents and super shady, super gritty, and you know, super porny stuff. But then you can have all of that, and then they can like call each other by pet names while absolutely railing each other and being like, you know, complimenting each other in the sweetest way while railing each other or while, you know, murdering someone. I don't know. Like, nice shot, baby, when you headshot some dude in a back alley. You know, I don't know. I don't know. I wish it came to me in a. I don't know. I think it's sweet complimenting your partner on their accomplishments. You know, like you're at work doing your mafia things. You need to kill someone, and then you're like,
okay,
you know,
you like that because you like that because it's literally Matt and Mello. That's why you like that.
Yes! Like, it would be nice if Mello would compliment Matt for, you know...
Anything?
Yeah.
for anything that he does.
Thank you, darling, for driving me to this place.
Thank you for being my chauffeur because I'm gay and can drive a car.
Oh, because Matt's not gay?
He's straight enough to know how cars work.
He's one of these rare homosexuals who actually know how to drive. Yes. I can't even cross the street properly. I'm just like, I don't even... I'm gay. I don't know where I'm going. No, but yeah, you know, you can have those things. You can have the and.
Absolutely. And I think,
love the and.
Yeah, I think the and is what tends to make it more doable for me. I have a hard time when it's just fluff, but the minute that you add something else to it, it's like adding complexity to a dessert. It's adding a salted caramel in a place that you wouldn't normally. It's just a little bit of extra complexity. And it then makes the rest of the dish sweeter because you have the contrast of that salt to be able to appreciate it. A series I talk about constantly, Antique Bakery, a lot of the moments that are fluffy get to be fluffy because of how terrible it is in places. Yeah. How just absolutely awful it is in some places really does make it feel a lot more genuine when these characters do have these lofty expressions of love.
And again, no, go on.
No, I'm good.
No, because again, it's like what I said earlier, that sometimes I just qualify something as fluff if it makes me feel fluffy. So, you know, it can be like the smallest little thing. Like it can be like there's a super dramatic scene happening, you know, or I don't know. For some reason, I think it's because I've been reading Amado Paradox, which has nothing to do with anything, but it's just they are constantly doing stakeouts, right? So just, you know, imagine something like a stakeout and there's a lot of stuff at risk and you're constantly at each other's throats. And then the one guy is like, why don't you take a rest? And then I'll keep lookout for now. And then he put this jacket over him or something. And that is enough to make me all, oh, he cares about him. I love this, you know? Like
I love how we're so used to awful men that the bare minimum is super romantic.
The bar is on the floor.
The bar's on the fucking ground.
He told him he was pretty that one time.
He said he was pretty that one time during sex and never said it again. That's a romantic.
Which again is why I love things like when Yuki goes out of his way and writes Shuichi some lyrics and then is super upset because Shuichi refuses to use them. But you know, he did that for him. You don't understand. It fills me with so much joy. I have so many emotions. You can see the fluff on my face. Yes.
rolls over and dies.
Oh, I did actually. I was dying the whole time. Like little things, the small things.
You know what? I'm going through my AO3 tags. I have a shocking amount of fluff and tooth rotting fluff.
Do you?
I do. I don't know how this happened. Oh, but I also have a lot of fluff and angst.
But it's such a nice combo.
It is.
I love fluff and angst.
It's great. Because here's something horrible that happened, and then you get to have these little moments of tenderness where everything is okay afterwards. Listen, all we're saying is that fluff on its own is fine. But like all things, fluff feels a lot better when it's two horrible men that have done horrible things to each other.
Yes.
It's just
And then
yes.
and then because we are Fujin and
We are.
and we do hate ourselves, and sometimes this is on the creators, and sometimes it's just on the content that we choose to explore, because the truth is most of the things I consume are roller coasters, because it's not just going to be something horrible happens and then there's a fluff moment and everything is fine. It's usually 5 minutes of fluff, something horrible happens, angst, cliffhanger, and then it's like, I am so fucking tired. I think because I'm addicted to the kind of like the emotional roller coaster, so I need the full spectrum.
I think for me, I've experienced so much of the emotional roller coaster that I do really use fluff as like a balm almost.
Yeah.
Because like when we talked about this, at first I was, ready to just hop on the horse of saying I hate fluff, I'm a cynic, I'm a mean old man. But no, I do read a lot of, maybe not necessarily like traditionally fluffy stuff. Like this is not fluff by any standard that we would have held it by, 20 years ago. But I do read a lot of things that are very romantic, that are very fluffy. I'll also go ahead and say very out of character. Because that is one thing about fluff. Fluff is always super OOC.
I mean, it doesn't have to be, but if you are literally only reading horrible men, then I can see how everything you read that
it is always
OOC.
Super OOC. And for the most part, I'm okay with it because I do kind of feel like it's necessary. Like, I remember when I was writing my Gravitation fic, I felt like I was taking Yuki completely out of character. And then I realized I had to, because if you leave him on his own, he's just a bag of trauma who wouldn't do anything.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Like, if you just, like, if it's like The Sims, and you just left Yuki Eri on his own, he wouldn't do anything.
He would starve to death.
Well, yeah, he wouldn't eat. He'd die in like 3 days. But he wouldn't ever be like a part of any action. He wouldn't do anything. He's super passive in that way. So I had to make him out of character to make him an active participant in this story.
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes you have to take Dobby super out of character, and he and Hawks have a kid. Yeah, sometimes Dobby and Hawks have a kid, and like Dobby's a great parent. I don't know who decided that.
No, I don't know where he would, but sometimes you do the exact opposite of what happened to you. Like, I had a horrible childhood. Maybe I'll be a better parent, and maybe you won't. I can see Hawks as a great parent.
Hawks would be a great parent.
He has that nesting instinct, it's the...
I don't trust Dobby with a child.
No. I feel like
I just don't. And I read so many kid fics, and it's just like Dobby's like an amazing dad. He's a great parent. Like, he instinctively knows what to do. And I'm just sitting there like, this man would treat us like a wet cat. Like holding the kid out like several feet.
Yeah, like
I don't know what to do with this.
What do I do with this? Yeah, exactly.
Right. It's like, I'm sorry, all of you who think that like he has some like hidden paternal instinct. I would love to know where you think it's hidden. Where do you think in that crusty body paternal instinct lies? Because I don't see it.
In a secret dimension, I don't know.
Right. Between the scar tissue of his left tit, I guess there's paternal instinct.
Yeah,
But
that specific. Uh, yeah.
like, yeah, I do read a fair share of it. And because, it is nice. It is nice to read something where everything is okay. Two characters that you love are just having a good time. I think also it's super funny, like the more objectively terrible the characters get. Like the worse the characters are, the funnier it is when it's just like, oh, they're just having pancakes for breakfast. That's great.
Yeah. I think that's nice. I love that for them. Like, good. You have to have a nice hearty breakfast before you go out to do
And do war
horrible,
crime.
evil war crimes. Yeah.
Yeah, you need a solid breakfast before you go do some war crimes.
I think we need to reevaluate our taste in fictional.
Shut up. My taste
Mm.
in fictional men
Yeah, it's
is
amazing.
perfect.
Yeah.
It's great.
I say that while also thinking that I think that for me, like I'm addicted to these emotional roller coasters. 19
Yes.
Days comes to mind because it can be the cutest, fluffiest thing, and then it's just like, oh, I see we woke up today and chose violence, and now you've torn my heart out and ripped it into a million pieces. Thank you. Thank you.
Me as a writer. Also, they finally released a color version of the Hawks Nendo, and he is very cute.
Oh. I have pre-ordered so many figures this year. I am going broke. Please
So I
subscribe to our
pre-ordered.
Patreon.
So please support our Patreon. I pre-ordered
I need
the
shoes.
re-release of Dobby like last year,
Oh yeah.
and he's finally arriving.
Oh, you gotta show him off. I
So-
pre-ordered Nezumi and Shion from number 6 the other day.
Yeah,
and
I
then
saw those.
I'm so happy. And my cloud strife in a dress is arriving. He's in the mail currently. There are so many figures coming out this year. I am going. This is why I can't buy new shoes, okay?
Yeah, patrons, please
Well,
consider subscribing to our Patreon so Carola can ask.
So I can get some shoes. No, but I was going
to spend your money on irresponsibly.
Okay, but can you blame me though? I need these things to fill the void, which is what I'm trying to say. That I think that in many ways I am so emotionally stumped in real life. Like I'm just a shell. I am so, I am fatigued. I am depressed. There are so many things.
Out where this was going.
I need emotional roller coasters in my fiction to fill me with some sort of emotion.
And like honestly, for me, it is a bit of the opposite. That I really like it when everything is just calm and okay, because none of my relationships have been like that.
Like you're literally, you are that meme, you are that gif of that guy coming in with the pizza and everything is on fire.
That's me. That's my love life.
That is my life. And so maybe I just need, 2 horrible men or 2 pretty men telling each other they're pretty while eating pancakes on a Sunday morning.
Right. Like sometimes you just need everything to be okay for, a couple of minutes. And I think the big takeaways with Fluff are combine Fluff with something else. Because you cannot live on cake and dick alone. I've tried.
Unless you're AichiYume.
But eat food.
He eats strawberry shortcake. It's his favorite food. It's listed in his bio.
Do you ever look and think that like we're nerds? Like, do you ever have that moment where like you just realize it's like I'm a nerd
every day of my life?
Every day of my life. Another Fluff pairing that I've recently really, really enjoyed is Trainwreck, which is Emmett and Volo. If you've played Pokemon Legends Arceus, you understand why that's so great. But that's a ship that is entirely not canon at all. It's entirely. Have I explained Trainwreck?
Yeah, you explained it. I was intrigued when you explained it to me.
You would love Trainwreck.
Yeah, it sounds like I would. It absolutely sounds like I would.
Trainwreck. Because it takes a character who's usually very, very happy and turns him into a horrifying yandere. And it's great. But I've read some fluffy as shit train wreck fics, which don't make any sense because usually it's a lot of choking and spanking, which is also great. But
sometimes you need aftercare.
Yeah, sometimes it's nice that, maybe Emmett really does come to love Volo, even though he kidnapped his brother and made me cry for like 5 minutes playing Pokemon Legends Arceus. I was so sad, Carola. I was so sad. Because, it didn't hit me at first. And then it was like, oh, I'm Warden Ingo. I'm like, wait a minute. Wait a fucking minute. And then I remember I just exclaimed, what about Emmett? I was just freaking out. Because it's he has a whole ass twin who's probably so hurt and so confused. I was so upset. I was so upset. It's why have you done this?
No, yeah. I understand.
But then there's also Crazy Train, which is Volo and Ingo, which is very, very fun.
Sounds fun.
Yeah. Fun fact, if you ship the Subway brothers with anyone, it's very, very fun. But sometimes you just need everything to be okay, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
It's the time of the month for a lot of people where, or at least it's the month where sometimes, you have conflicted feelings about things. Valentine's Day is coming up. The Super Bowl is happening in a few hours. I think it starts at 5. It's noon.
I know nothing.
I don't know. Sometimes February can be a difficult month. The sun still isn't out for some of us. There's still no sun.
The only redemption that is, February is the fact that it only has 28 days. So at least it's short.
Yeah, the suffering usually is quite short.
I don't hate it as much as I hate January, though. I quite enjoy it. I'm also preparing for a small convention, so things are happening. But yeah,
I tend to not like February for personal reasons. But that's not February's fault.
No.
That's not the month's fault.
I'm completely indifferent to the month, honestly. It's just, it's just another part of the whole long, winding, never-ending winter that is Norway. But I like Valentine's Day because we do the same thing every single year and we get Chinese food and I'm very excited.
That sounds great.
Yeah. So I know I'm getting Chinese food, so I'm happy.
That sounds lovely. That sounds lovely.
Yeah.
So, you know what? Go read some Fluff.
Yeah,
go read favorite fluffy pairings in the comments below. If you've written Fluff, tell us your experience writing it. I am more than happy to share my experience writing 40 fucking chapters of tooth-rotting fluff with Matt and Mello.
Yes.
Where for a tantalizing brief moment, everything is just fine. Let's see. This is the part of the show where we give a special thank you to our patrons at all levels. Thank you so much for supporting the show financially. We would not be doing this if not without your financial support. If you would like to join them, get some exclusive merch and some behind-the-scenes looks, including new merch that I will be updating soon because I crawled out of my depression cave.
I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. I crawled out of my depression cave because I found a meme that was Omegaverse shaming and it made me stop being depressed.
That should be a sticker.
There was literally a
Omegaverse shaming, stop my depression.
It was literally a post that said, your depression nest is just your Omega nest, and then the next line was, and it was I'm not an omega, firstly. Secondly, don't talk about my depression, Ness. Thirdly, fine, fuck you. And I got out of bed.
Yay!
So I was shamed. I was cast shamed out of my depression nest.
You're doing your best and you're doing great.
Thank you.
You're doing the absolute most.
I am trying so hard.
I'm doing nothing.
You're doing great. You can find us all over the internet, including our Discord, our Insta, and our Twitter, where we are still, and we will be until at the Yaoi Shelf, where we will be until Elon Musk finally kills the website.
I'll never leave. I'll haunt the corners of whatever is left of Twitter until I'm forced away.
Mood and save.
Yeah.
Carola, would you like to tell the audience what we're covering next month?
Would I ever? Wait. As usual, I'm super prepared. No, I knew this. I know this.
You do, because you almost said it last time.
Yeah, I know, because that's why I'm double checking now that I'm actually saying the right thing. We are going to be packing our bags and putting on our uniforms and going back to school. We're going to talk about school life, BL, which, also has a fair amount of fluff in it. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
It does.
And a lot of other things.
And a lot of other stuff.
And a lot of questionable extracurricular activities. Looking at you, AichiYume Bitch Club. What? It's going to be a fun episode.
A lot of questionable relationships with teachers. Looking at you, Love and Desire at school.
And a lot of others.
So yeah, we're going to finally take care of one of the tropiest tropes of all time.
I'm so excited. I love a good high school BL.
And our obsession with boys in uniform.
Yes. I'm so... What? For anyone wondering, this is not me sexualizing minors. I'm a school uniform fashionista enthusiast, okay? I think it's cute.
Because my favorite thing is to put, like, grown men in the uniform.
But the uniforms are so cute.
Yeah,
bonus points if it is a girl sailor fuku. Like,
yes. Like, yes. No, I have zero interest in actual high schoolers. I want to see a mafia boss in a sailor uniform.
You want to see Yashiro?
More like I want to see Domeki. Because Yashiro would love it.
Yeah.
Don't put Yashiro in a dress. He'd eat that shit up. No. Do not give Yashiro a Sailor Rep uniform. That man would just become a drag queen. No.
I love it. Yes. No, but don't make it. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, because he would just do it.
Yeah.
With that dead face of his, he would just do it.
And then, rolling up his skirt so to the absolute shortest it can get, and like the loose socks and everything.
Right, like pretending to be slutty. That man does not understand what slutty is.
No.
Oh, Yashiro just eating it up because he's a horn addicted.
Amazing.
I have great ideas all the time.
You do have some great ideas, yeah.
But thank you guys for being here.
Thank you for being here.
Super excited to talk in Patreon next week, and then the following week we will be covering this live.
Yeah, come talk fluff with us.
Yeah,
on the 26th. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, do you really expect me to know what date it is 2 Sundays from now? Well, who do you think I am? That day is going to be very busy for me because I have 2 streams to watch, and I think they're going to overlap, but I'm going to have to choose between figure skating and Thai BL actors.
Your life is so hard.
It's fucking difficult.
Her life is so hard.
It's so hard.
We will see you guys in the next one. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.